Afternoon, it's your boy Trenton Maximus of Cornhole Videos. You have to overlook my disheveled appearance. I haven't showered in a couple days. Hot outside and it's windy, so bear with me. And what you know about grilling and meat and things of the variety. I don't really give a rip if you don't know anything about it. That's okay. Because in this video, I'm going to show you how. I'll bring you in here and show you what I got. Go ahead and take a moment to try to overlook the crusty ass paint smeared table. It's been outside, so it's nature clean. What I got here today is what's known as a London broil, which is a top round boneless steak. I had Jim at the Hackleburg Market cut this up for me, and I must say he did a mighty fine job of it. Also down there at said market, I got this stuff called Terry's Original Marinade. If you're from the Alabama area, this stuff is pretty widely available, and it has sort of a teriyaki taste to it. It's pretty bussin'. It's not as salty as Dale's, so I'm going to use this as my marinade today. The London broil is cut from the top round, which is the ass of the cow, so that's pretty funny. So we're going to go ahead and hop into marination real quick. We got to do that first. We got to let this sucker marinate for a little while, so let's go ahead and do our procedure for that. All you got to do, get you a knife, like maybe an overpriced, overrated buck 119. Just cut your thing open here. We're going to poke her right here in the pack. And all you gotta do is just poke it all over, not too wickedly deep, but give her several good pokes. Flip it. After that, you just want to take you just a gallon Ziploc bag, open the sucker up, and just throw the steak down in there. Then take your marinade of choice, whatever it will be. Again, we're using Piratelli's today. And just pour her on down in there. And I'm going to go back in, put this in the cool because it's real hot outside today. And I'm going to let old darling sit for maybe an hour or so and get good and soaked in with this stuff. The pieces of grilling paraphernalia I got out here today, got a grill brush that doesn't have bristles. I don't like grill brushes with bristles. If you eat a piece of steel wire, you are way up the creek. Got just a simple pair of tongs, some insulated grilling gloves. Definitely need that to handle, you know, blazing hot charcoal. And I got the electronic food thermometer probe doodad from Wally World. You actually 100% need this to make sure your food is up to safe temperature. Other than that, I got a bag of charcoal and two charcoal chimneys. All of this is going to be done on a 22-inch Weber kettle because accept no substitutes. If you have a substitute, it is acceptable. Bear with me, my son, for I am about to get political. Take a moment and look upon me and look at what I have. This is just some regular old charcoal. This is a charcoal chimney. This is a Franklin County Free Press newspaper. If you use any other means of heating up a grill, be it cooking with propane, using instant light charcoal, or using lighter fluid, just know that I, Trentonius Maximus, low-key, high-key, look down upon you. I assure you, nobody wants to taste propane or lighter fluid in their food. Get good or don't get at all. If you don't know how to use a chimney, that's okay. I'm about to show you how, and it's pretty simple. Go to Wally World, get you a chimney. I'm going to use two. That's just because I want to use a little more charcoal to be sure I keep my heat up good. These are about 10 buckaroos at Wally World. They will get rusty. That's okay. It doesn't really impede upon anything. As far as brands of charcoal goes, I don't really have any loyalty to any of them. I typically, a lot of times I'll grab Kingsford because it's there, but this is Royal Oak stuff. It does just fine. I've bought a Jealous Devil. A lot of people like to use lump charcoal. You're free to do that. I like to use briquettes because they burn a little longer, but typically a lump charcoal will have a slightly better flavor and it'll burn a little hotter. But I've got briquettes, so that's what we're going to roll with today. First thing you need to do is take your grate, set it off to the side, because you're not going to need it for a little bit. You will see down in the bottom of the grill, there's a smaller grate down there. You want to keep that in there. That's going to be very important to help air get underneath your charcoal, so that way it ignites really well. Take your old newspaper, just rip her up into little wads, not too tight, just, you know, little wad of newspaper like that. You want to make sure it's packed nicely into the bottom of your charcoal chimney. This is going to be your fuel to ignite your charcoal. There are biomass cubes and other things called like tumbleweeds that you can put down there to ignite your charcoal. That works really good too, but a free newspaper is a lot cheaper than that. Congratulations, Miranda Decker, MD. You have made it to the Cornhole Videos channel. It's a rare title. Do not take it for granted. Stuff it tight, not too tight. I said that. Just turn it over like this and just stick it on the grill like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on my second chimney. Though this is cheap, I must confess using newspaper to ignite your charcoal is not as reliable as using a biomass cube or a tumbleweed. But I'm a broke boy, and I like to save as much money as possible. After you got your chimney stuffed with newspaper on the bottom, take your charcoal and just pour it in there. You want to pour it not entirely full, but just almost full. Why that is, I don't know. A guy on YouTube with a very good charcoal grilling accent told me to do it this way, so I'm going to do what he said. And there you go. And once you got them plumb filled up, you just take your old lighter, and there are little holes around the base of the charcoal chimney, and you stick your lighter in there and light the newspaper on fire. You want to make sure that you light it on a couple of sides so that way it has an even burn toward the middle. Helps it definitely ignite the charcoal a good bit better. I definitely recommend using a butane lighter because blowing that torch makes it a lot easier to ignite the newspaper. Bic lighter, you know, I end up burning my thumb a lot because I don't smoke, so I got little soft lady hands. As you can see, these are smoking up pretty good. Usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes for them to get good and lit. You'll know your charcoal's ready to go on the grill whenever the top coals start to turn white on part of the charcoal on top. Or most, I'm not your dad. Just make sure that they're good and frosted looking on the top of the charcoal on top of the chimney. It's very important to note that when you use anything, it's just good practice, but especially when you use newspaper, you want to run out and check maybe about 5 minutes into them being ignited. You want to make sure that it's still igniting the charcoal, because a lot of times it'll peter out before I get a chance to get my charcoal good and going. So I got to throw a little more newspaper on and get her going up again. So I guess this really is a good advertisement to use a biomass cube or a little tumbleweed. But again, broke, cheap, stingy person like me, just come back out and make sure that you've got enough newspaper in there. Set a timer for about 20-25 minutes on your phone. Any preparation you need to do for your food, be it fixing sides or whatever, you want to do that during this time. It's just going to be a while before your charcoal gets good and lit. I'm going to let these sit for a little bit, make sure that they ignited good. Odds are I'll have to go redo at least one of these with a newspaper. Like I said, kind of unreliable. But that's showbiz, baby. Either way, gonna let these simmer up good. I'll run back through whenever they're good and frosty on the top, and then we'll, for the most part, get to grilling. All right, I got my broil of the London variety out here in the pan while my charcoal's heating up. And I've got my favorite seasoning in the whole wide world right here, and that is Miss Rubin's Black Magic. This, along with the marinade I used today, are both from around the Birmingham area. So this is all Alabama-sourced goodies, so there's a little bit of bonus points for, I guess, moral stuff. I don't know. Either way, I like this stuff because it's not really salty. It has a bit of a peppery flavor to it, but it's mainly just flavor, so you can't overdo it. It says it right there on the bottle, and they're absolutely right. You can't overdo this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and just take it and just cover it all in this Black Magic stuff. Again, favorite seasoning in the whole wide world. Typically, whenever I do seasonings, I combo it with another one known as Sure Shot Sid's. That's also made in Alabama. Sure Shot Sid's gunpowder. Love that stuff, but it's very salty. It adds a lot of salt flavor to it, and since this is already marinated in something salty, didn't want to overdo it. So, just going to get some Black Magic all over real good on this side. Flip it. Get the other side real good. Also, might not be a bad idea to get this on the sides. Got this cut about 1.25 inches thick. Typically these come a little thicker than this, but that's okay. Just make sure you get your sides, make sure you got flavor all over. And yeah, we're gonna let her sit the rest of the time with the charcoal heating up here. It's gonna sit with that dry seasoning on it. It's gonna get her all in there real good, and it's gonna be a very, very flavorful cut of meat. My hands smell so good. So the charcoal is just about to where I want it to be, but before I go forward with it, I want to run you through the game plan. What I'm about to do is put on my insulated gloves. It is crucial that you have them for this step. I'm going to take my charcoal and pour both chimneys on one side of the grill. One-sided heating is incredibly important because you have an area of high heat and low heat. If you have like a flare-up, like there's a bunch of flames on your meat, so that way you don't get scorched, you can move it over to the cool side. They call that a safe zone. But also I need it for this method of cooking. I've got another little metal pan, just like the one I put the meat in, and I'm going to put that on one side on the cool side to ensure that that is the cool side of the grill. What I'm going to do is take my steak, put it on the hot side of the grill after I let it warm up. You got to let it warm up for like 5 minutes. with the lid on and the vents open. That makes sure it kills all the bacteria on your grates. I'm going to take my grill scraper, make sure I ain't got no BS on my grates on my grill. Once I have it up to temp and scraped how I want it, I'm going to take the London broil, I'm going to put it on the hot side of the grill, and I'm going to let it cook for like maybe a minute and 30 seconds. Then I'm going to rotate it, let it cook for another minute and 30 seconds or so. I'm going to flip it. Do the same thing, minute 30 seconds, turn, minute 30 seconds. After that, I'm going to check my temp, make sure it's still good and low, because I'm going to take it and move it over to the cool side and just leave it there. And I'm going to let it cook until it's up to temperature. So that way that slow minute, I catch a sear on the outside, so that way it's good and seared. Move it over to the cool side to let it finish cooking. This helps it remain tender and juicy. I have an oven thermometer. That is important. Mine is scorched, but I can still read the numbers I need. I'm gonna have my grill up to about as hot as I can get it, 450 degrees or so, and I'm gonna cook it at that temperature. And then I'm gonna close the vents halfway, because the man on the internet told me to do that. I'm gonna close the top and bottom vents halfway, so that way it lowers the temperature, helps everything cook slower, and it's going to slowly bring that meat up to about 130 to 135 degrees. That's about medium rare on the inside. Plenty, that's good, safe temperature while still good, juicy, and not well done, dried out, leathery. Over the next couple minutes, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to try to narrate it as I go along. It all happens quickly. I've never cooked on camera before, and I'm not a very experienced griller, so bear with me. This might be a damn disaster. I'm hoping not, and I hope I don't gotta go run and get Little Caesars or Russellville. We shall see. Game time. Got my gloves on. I'm gonna set these chimneys out on the ground very briefly, take my pan, put it on this side of the grill for it to be my cool side, then I'm gonna pour both chimneys out on this side of the grill. That'll be my hot side. I feel like you don't need me to tell you to be incredibly careful during this process, because it's oh so dangerous. So I've got my pan on. If you can tell, one of these is a lot more frosty than the other. This one is way hotter. This one is not. So I'm going to put the frosty one, super hot one down first, and then let it burn up into these cooler ones. Like that. And just like that. Then I'm going to grab my grill grate, put it just like so. And then with my vent open on the bottom, vent all the way open on the top. Going to shut it and let it sit for about 5 minutes. It is imperative that you take your charcoal chimney or chimneys and move them somewhere where nobody is going to come near them, because they are wickedly hot and they are going to stay that way. It's always good practice to not forget your grill thermometer. Make sure that you get good and up to temperature like you need. Pro tip. The oven thermometer needs to be in the grill for it to take the temperature. Rookie mistake to not put it in there. Cool beans, been about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure my grill's good and hot as shit. It is, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my grill scraper and just give her a good old scraping. Whenever your grill is this hot, there is no bacteria that can survive. Your grill is perfectly clean and safe to cook on. And voila, you should be ready to grill. So I'm gonna go grab the meat, put her on. All right, I'm about to throw the meat on the grill. My heart is telling me to cook this like 2 minutes per side, be it set it down 1 minute, rotate a little bit, 1 minute. Flip it, 1 minute, rotate a little bit, 1 minute. That way I get a good sear, but I don't dry it out. And I'm gonna put it on the cool side and shut the lid and just let it cook for a bit. So without further ado, let's put old darling on there. That's a real good sound. I like that sound. Probably one of the wildest things about Black Magic is that whenever you put it on the grill and start cooking it, it kind of smells like a pizzeria. It gets even more pizzeria smelling whenever you got that Sure Shot Sibs gunpowder with it. But it smells incredible right now. You wouldn't even believe it. Okay, at this point it's been about right at 1 minute and 10 seconds, so I'm going to grab it with my tongs here. And just give it the ever so slightest rotation. Typically whenever I grill a normal size steak, I'll flip it 90 degrees and let it do, but since this is such a hulking massive beef, it would span over my cook zone here, so I'm just going to give it just maybe a little, I don't know, 20-degree turn, just to make sure that it gets some cross grill marks, but just mainly catching a sear on the outside is the goal for this type of steak. On second thought, while I'm cooking it, I'm going to put the lid on the grill. I've always been told if you looking, you ain't cooking, so I'm trying to cook this steak. So I'm going to let it sit like this for a bit. All right, been about that time again, so we're going to give her the big flip here. That look actually real good and seared, so I feel pretty good about this. Alrighty, then we're going to go ahead and give her our last rotation here. Like I said, catching a real good looking sear on the side. This is working out real good. That's how I wanted it to go. Alrighty, now what I'm about to do is take it and move it over to the safe side, check temperature, and should be alright to let it grill on up to the rest of the tent. There it is on the safe side. And yeah, buddy, she is sitting at about 110 degrees on the inside. I'm going to turn these grill vents down to about halfway. Then just let her sit for a while in that lower temperature. Finish cooking the rest of the way, and it should be fucking busting. Just probed it again, sitting at about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So definitely going to slowly climb that sucker up to about 135. So this cooking is going surprisingly well. I expected disaster. It's going okay. I have no intentions of trying to put a bunch of cooking stuff on Cornhole videos, but if this does well, if you want to see me do more of this, please let me know. If you actually have the inkling that you're not crazy about this kind of content, please let me know, because I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to get big sad boy hours about it. But I just thought I'd try this out. Never done a London broil before. I thought I'd do it on camera. I got a feeling this is the last check I'll have to do for temperature. Make 100% sure here. Oh yeah, she's ready to rock. She is ready to rock. She is coming off. Get the steak with the tongs. I'm gonna give her just a little quick sear on the sides because it is a thick steak. Nah, man, that looked good. And by golly, there she is. Have you look at that. I'm not gonna do the cutting it on the camera. I know that kind of sounds dumb, but I'm reserving that money shot for my wife, and I love her very much. Gonna let this sucker sit for about 15 minutes. You always want to let a protein that you cook rest. Finishes cooking on the inside, and it helps it stay juicy, and just it really actually helps to let it wait for like 15 minutes or so. So I'm gonna get this inside. I'm gonna take some pictures of how it looks whenever it's cooked on the inside good, and I'll let y'all know how it was. And right there it is. As you can see, it's a little rare on the inside, so I definitely could have stood to cook it a little longer. It being rare did make it a little bit tough. Out there on the ends up toward the top, it cooked a lot more. It was actually a lot more tender that way. So what I learned, let it cook a little longer. Also spread out my charcoal a bit because it was kind of all piled in the middle and it all cooked in the middle. So I need to spread it out so it cooks more evenly. That's what I learned this time, but still turned out really good. Anyhow, that's me, Trentonius Maximus, talking about the old London broil. I'm about out of time here, so subscribe if you like it. Subscribe if you didn't like it, and talk that shit. I'm not your dad, man.